make sure that's going. Okay, shoot.
1,
2,
3,
4, 5,
6, 7,
8, 9,
10, 11,
12,
13.
14.
Okay, is that centered?
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, you're good. You're good. Good. All right. Hello, my name is Stan Pierce, and I'm here to talk about why felons should be allowed to vote upon completing their sentence. Across our country, millions of citizens are denied the right to vote because of a felony conviction. This is commonly known as felony disenfranchisement. Years ago, I had a friend who made some poor decisions as a teen. He was busted with close to a pound of marijuana just broken up into individual bags. This bust led him to a felony conviction for possession with intent to distribute a controlled substance. After spending many years in jail and probation, he has been released and is what we would all consider rehabilitated. He is married with a child and has a well-paying job. He's drug-free and pays his taxes. He is someone that most of us would describe as positively contributing to our society, but he cannot fully re-enter his community because as a convicted felon in his state, he is denied the right to vote for life. Many of you know someone like my friend or easily could have. Felons who have served their time deserve to fully re-enter society. I hope to persuade you that nationwide, felons who have served their time deserve to regain the right to vote. To do this, I will discuss what the problem is, my proposed solution, and what will happen if the issue is not addressed. To begin, let's move on to discussing what the problem is. First, felony disenfranchisement is completely legal in the United States. The 14th Amendment, sections 1 and 2, state that no state shall make or enforce laws which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States, except for participation in rebellion or other crimes. States have taken this amendment to mean that they can deny felons the right to vote. As with many parts of our Constitution, one part contradicts another, and people that are for allowing felons to vote point to the 8th Amendment, which states cruel or unusual punishment shall not be inflicted. And they think that denying the right to vote falls under cruel or unusual punishment. Now, according to procon.org, should felons who have completed their sentence be allowed to vote 2019, an estimated 6.1 people with felony convictions are barred from voting. To put that in perspective, 6.1 million people, or how many people live here in our state of Missouri. And I put this on the board as a constant reminder of how many people are denied the right to vote here in our country. These citizens who have served their time cannot fully regain their rights. They cannot vote in local elections, they cannot vote in local proposals, and they are less likely to be active members of their community because of this. Denying felons the right to vote has disproportionately affected the African American community. According to the Sentencing Project, Felony Disenfranchisement 2019, 1 in 13 African Americans have lost their voting rights versus 1 in 56 non-black voters. These citizens must be able to regain the right to vote. As the level of disenfranchisement varies considerably from state to state, the issue should be tackled in each of the state's legislatures. According to Felon Voting Rights, National Conference of State Legislatures 12/21/2018, currently, state approaches to felon disenfranchisement vary tremendously from state to state, with 11 states banning felons from voting for life. Ideally, we would have a more consistent approach across the state and federal prisons. I would like to see all states automatically reinstate voting rights to felons that have completed their sentence. Citizens like the members of this audience can help. Issues like this are where everyday citizens can directly affect their democracy. I urge you all to contact your local representative and tell them this is an important issue to you. You can all also support groups like the ACLU and the Sentencing Project who actively work to reinstate disenfranchised voters. And you can vote for politicians who make this a central part of their platform. Left unaddressed, felony disenfranchisement will have a devastating effect on many of our communities. Imagine this situation. Neighborhoods where large percentages of voters can't vote. The Advancement Project, Democracy Disappeared, October 2018, found some shocking results in their studies affected by African American disenfranchised voters in Florida. They mostly moved back to neighborhoods in 5 counties, the worst of which, Gadsden, had 83% of its disenfranchised voters living in one African American neighborhood. Without a change of the current system, we will continue to have citizens unable to perform their civic duties. These communities will not be properly represented in their city councils, and communities with high crime rates will not be able to get legislation passed that they need on the state level. Even with all this information, some people are still not convinced. The most common reason people support felons not getting the right to vote is that by having a felony conviction, they have shown that they make poor decisions. While I agree, anyone convicted of a felony has probably made a few poor decisions in your life. We're talking about voting. And not to make this a partisan issue, but I think regardless of where you fall on the political spectrum, we can all agree right now that even legal voters cannot be counted to make wise decisions. Another common reason why people deny or don't think that felons should be allowed to vote is they feel that they would swing elections towards the Democratic Party. Surprisingly, votes would be fairly evenly distributed. According to Mark Meredith, why letting ex-felons vote probably won't swing Florida to November 2018 if the 600,000 disenfranchised voters in Florida were allowed to vote again. Florida Democrats would stand to gain some votes by extending the franchise, but the net gain of 48,000 votes would be about 1/4% of the more than 15 million people of voting age in Florida. So while they would contribute to the voting rolls, they would not swing an election in either direction. They would only contribute to the people that were voting already. In conclusion, I discussed the following things: the problem of felony voter disenfranchisement, how to return the right to vote to convicted felons, what will happen if these individuals are not allowed to vote again. While in recent years pessimism has seemed to grow in our country, I still believe in the American dream. Freedom and democracy. The issue of voting is key to that dream. As citizens, we must do everything we can to make sure the American people are actively involved in their democracy, and that includes returning the right to vote for felony convicts that have served their sentence. Thank you.